Welcome back everyone. And since my last video in the snow, it's pretty much all of it's melted now. It's looking pretty nice outside. Well, actually it's pretty gloomy, but yeah. I've been crazy busy. I've had another wedding fair to attend. I've had meetings to attend, finishing off the editing for my last wedding. It's been pretty busy for me, so that's all good, right? But I want to touch on a little bit of a subject that is kind of relevant to everybody that does wedding photography or just in the industry itself, just generally speaking, and that is, how do you stand out as a professional wedding photographer? Because that's not easy, you know, especially in today's market, but we're going to get into that a little bit more. Stick around. So trying to stand out in today's market as a wedding photographer is super difficult. Even for me, I've been doing wedding photography for best part of 8 years now, and even in that time, it's progressively got harder. So I want to go through, how do you potentially stand out? You know, in today's world, even your mobile phone can take a pretty decent picture. And now, before anybody goes, oh my god, it doesn't stand up to DSLR full frame. No, it doesn't. But technology is moving on really quick. Even micro four thirds cameras are incredible. But putting that aside, you've got to think about your wedding photography, your business, almost like a YouTube channel. Bad analogy, I know, but listen to me for a second. The more you put into a YouTube channel, the more you're going to get out of it. If you just basically put up 1 or 2 videos a month or every 6 months, nobody's going to really know you're there. You've got to put a lot more time and effort into it. And that's the same for wedding photography, you know, and your marketing. It's all in your marketing. You could be the best wedding photographer ever, but if nobody knows you exist, nobody's going to book you. It's pretty much as simple as that. And you've got to be smart with it. Don't just think you're going to put up a nice website for some nice simple pictures up and make a Facebook page, maybe a Twitter page, and you're going to get bookings just like that. It's not going to happen. You're going to fall flat. It's pretty much straight away. You've got to be smart. There's a lot more you can do. So one of the things I was really shocked with was the sheer amount of wedding photographers in my local area. It's a staggering amount of people that all want those bride and grooms that we're after, or you're after. So how do we basically stand out? I mean, seriously, take 5 seconds, go onto Google, type in your local area followed by wedding photographer, or wedding photography, or, you know, something along those lines. You get the idea. And you'll just see there's this mountain, there's an absolutely tidal wave of wedding photographers. So how do we, as working professionals, stand out amongst that many people? It's crazy, but we've got to do it, right? Well, it's possible, promise you. So you've got to think differently, because if you're doing the same thing as every other wedding photographer, how are you going to stand out? You know, you're not. It's pretty much simple as that. If you're doing exactly the same pictures as the next wedding photographer, the next photographer, and the one after him or her, or you just look all the same. The only thing that's going to make you different is your pricing. And all the couple's going to do is just going to look around a bunch of different websites. Well, his pictures are the same as his pictures, the same as her pictures, and the same as his. And then they're going to look at the prices, and they're going to go pretty much for the cheapest option. Don't be that person. Be somebody that you want to make sure all your work stands out, okay? And you can do this in a variety of different ways. It could be the style of edit you do. It could be you're playing with lighting, etc., etc. There's a bunch of different shots, but make sure those are the shots that you show people, because if they don't know you can do these shots, they're not going to book you based on those shots. One of the shots that I did early on in my career is the umbrella shot. You know, the one where you hold it there, the bride and groom facing each other, and you light it up at night. This was incredibly popular for me because not many people was doing it at the time. I still do it now. It's still one of the shots I get asked to do. It's not a shot I overly enjoy taking, but bride and grooms always like it. It's a very simple shot. I might even do an instruction on how to actually take that shot, because there's so many people go, oh my god, is there a flash inside the umbrella? No, there's not. But that's just one of the examples that I use. I like playing with lighting at night. You know, it's just one of the things that I get recognised in my area for, and it helps me get the bookings. This is something you've got to think about. As I said, you can have a different edit. You could have a vintage edit or a high saturation or whatever you want, basically. Just make sure your work stands out for the next person. But is that enough to actually make sure that couples come towards you? Well, no, frankly. You've got to make sure that you are basically being heard. You could be an amazing photographer, but if nobody knows you exist, nobody's going to book you. It's that simple. It's the same for any sort of business. You know, you've got to make sure people know you're there. And you can do this a variety of ways, but I'm going to probably save it for the next video on how to actually get bookings. This is more about you standing out in the market. And yeah, you've got to basically think differently. There's a bunch of shots that we all do. We do the mum and dad shot. You know, the bride and groom standing there looking at the camera. It's the most basic shot you can ever do at a wedding. We all do this. I do it. I don't enjoy taking it. The bride and groom don't enjoy having it taken. But the mum and dads love it. The grandparents love it. Keep those people happy. Do it. But everybody's doing that shot. Break it up a little bit. Go for some depth of field. Put, I don't know, maybe some leaves in front of the camera to get that kind of effect. You know, it's just something you need to do. And if you're not doing these things, you are basically not making your work stand out from other people. And even with trade shows, you know, the wedding fairs. You know, look at your stand. How does it compare to other photographers? Look at your website. How does that compare to other photographers? Another thing that is really, really, really key, and I see this a lot with photographers, especially newer photographers, make your work consistent. This is just something that you need to do. If you're doing one wedding where it's a vintage edit, the next one is a high saturation, the next one is doing all black and white, your work isn't consistent. The couple's going to come to your website and go, well, what are we going to get from this photographer? You know, is he going to shoot our wedding as a vintage or high saturation or whatever? And they're just going to go, you know what, we're going to go for the safer option that we know we're going to get the results that we are looking for. So pretty much as simple as that. Make sure your work stands out from the next person. If it doesn't, you're just going to blend in, and the only thing they're going to compare you on is prices. Don't do that. You want to make sure you get the bookings. Make sure you put the images that stand out. It could be lots of color. It could be, you know, your vintage kind of edit. It doesn't matter what it is. It just needs to stand apart from the competition in your local area. Don't look worldwide, look in your local area. Make sure your prices are competitive as well. Because if you're putting your prices down like $2,000 more than the next person in your area, and they have a very similar kind of feel to the pictures or similar kind of quality, there's no way people are going to book you over them. It's just not going to happen. Make sure your pricing is competitive. There's no point in putting a post up on Facebook saying, how much shall I charge? Because those people are not in your area. You need to do your research. Google other wedding photographers in your area. Have a look at the pricing structures. Be a little bit cheeky. You know, this is something we all do. I don't think there's a photographer on the planet that won't have looked at the competition in their area. And don't think of them negatively. These people can be a big asset. But again, that's for a follow-up video. We'll probably do it later today, maybe tomorrow, whenever. I don't know. I'll get around to it. I promise. But for now, as I keep saying, you gotta stand out. You gotta make sure your work is different. It doesn't get any simpler than that. And if it's not any different, you're just gonna blend into the background, and people can forget about you. You want to make sure you get bookings. That's pretty much it. It doesn't get any simpler.